Hello and welcome to my Let's List Civilization 6. I am Eine Ranma and I am going to make a ranking list in this video and explain it. The ranking list is considered mostly for a game in multiplayer or against higher difficulty AI. So like on Prince, this ranking list does not really matter, since on Prince you can win with any civilizations and everything that has a unique unit is kind of broken on Prince, because you can just steamroll everyone if you want to. But on higher difficulty like Emperor, Immortal or DT, it really matters which civilization you pick, because some are clearly easier or let's say less hard to play as and to defeat higher difficulty AI or other people. I will start my ranking with the bottom line, and these are 4 civilizations at the same that I rank all not really good for multiplayer or higher difficulty. We have France with Catherine, we have Pedro with Brazil, and we have Teddy with America, and we have Victoria with England. Why do I think these do not matter that much? What I have to say here, if you play on an island map and not on Pangea or maybe Fractal, it is of course very different. Obviously Victoria with a unique sea unit is much better on a map where not everything is land, obviously. But in multiplayer you usually play on Pangea, and I think most people also play in single player, at least on continents of Pangea, and island is a little bit special, so we will not take that much into consideration. So Victoria, her unique unit comes a bit late. It is, and its benefit is a little bit situational. Her other benefits are also more mid or even late game benefits. So until this comes into account, the game is usually already over. So if you, especially America, England, Pedro, Brazil, and especially France are very tourism oriented in the late game. They can make a great tourism game. But on higher difficulty, the game is decided before you start to build the end game wonders and go for tourism. And in multiplayer you probably die or kill all your other players before it really gets to a tourism victory. So therefore all these tourism benefits like a film studio, or the carnival, the great people that are very important for tourism, and of course the wonder and tourism for Renaissance industrial, that doesn't matter all that much. So I will value that low. The French unique unit, just like the English unique unit, is an industrial era unit. It comes a bit late, and it's so situational. So is the American unique unit, Rough Rider. It is a little bit better than the others. It comes a little bit earlier, but still, sometimes your enemy is not on your continent, even on a Pangea, and then this benefit is completely irrelevant. It's just too situational. The plus 10 combat strength can be useful, but often is not relevant. And Brazil has as unique unit a ship, which is often not even used. It can be useful, but it's a late game ship, it's a modern era unit. It's really not something that will usually affect the game. So I say those are the worst civs for higher difficulty or multiplayer. Then the next rank, second lowest, I ranked them 12. Are also 4 civilizations that are not super great. They have a unique unit maybe, or something that can pay off, but it's not always going to happen. Here we have Spain, Philippe. His treasure fleet is not really relevant. A religion victory on very high difficulty and in multiplayer is incredibly hard. It usually equals a domination victory, and if you go domination anyway, you'd rather take something with a better unique unit. Don't get me wrong, the Conquistador, which replaces the musket, is a really good unit, and that Spain gets more combat strength against people with a different religion is actually useful, and the musket with a missionary below it gets plus 10 strength, so it becomes a really strong unit. But as it is, a musket is a little bit late. It is better to have something early on. It's early wars, DTAI will probably, it's very likely that they will attack you early on, before you are even remotely close to musketmen. You may have swordsmen if you're lucky, so it's really not that relevant. And in multiplayer especially, you want to have either units to protect your lands from early aggressors, or you want to take out some neighbors that start to wonder spam and have a lack in military. So early game units are important, and the Conquistador is strong, but a little bit too late. And the same we have with China. The Crouching Tiger is actually not that bad, but the one range and that it comes a little bit late lowers its value quite a bit. What makes China actually quite strong is the one more builder action. That is really good. The Great Wall is not really relevant. It's too difficult to place it properly, it takes too much time, too much worker actions. You will not really use it. The 10% of Eureka's and Inspiration is nice, doesn't make such a big difference, and that you can speed up classical and ancient wonders, that is nice, but you will not build that many wonders anyway, maybe 1 or 2. Against DTAI, not even. Against players you can try, but it's always a risk to invest like 10 turns into a wonder, while you could build 3 or even 4 units in that time. I mean, imagine you have a wonder and 2 units, and your enemy has 8 units and comes at you with that. Well, guess who will have the wonder in the end? Also on this rank I place Hojo from Japan. Because on coast next to coast his units are stronger, which is useful, but there is not all that much coast, and usually fights happen around cities and not right next to coasts. And people tend to not build cities directly at coast, because if they do, ships can attack their cities. Then it's better to build one tile off the coast and just build a harbor for ships. Therefore, this benefit is not so important. The electronics factor is really strong, but it comes ridiculously late, so also not that important. And the samurai is just a little bit more useful than the unit that it replaces. It comes in time, but it's not a super amazing unit. It is just okay, it is okay. But overall, yeah, these 3 civs are mediocre. Oh, also on this rank, this 4 civ, therefore, Harald from Norway. His Berserker is actually useful if you plan to attack people. If not, it doesn't really matter, and you do not want to hold your land with him because he gets -7, but it's kind of a useful unit, not too early available. And all the naval stuff usually doesn't matter unless you play a very coastal and island-oriented map. And also the religious benefits are not that useful early on. I mean, it's useful, but it doesn't matter. Just like the great people benefits from Pedro, it is useful, but it takes time to kick in. So therefore, Norway, Japan, China and Spain are on rank 12. Then now we get single civilizations. Rank 11. Peter from Russia. What makes him strong is the fact that he gets more territory when he founds cities, like the Shoshone in Civilization 5. That is really useful, especially in multiplayer. Because if you have the land, you block enemies' movement, you can grab the land, you don't have to rush by tiles. If you're close to an enemy city, you just get it. It's useful. Here's Tundra start bias, which is really bad, but usually you just have one city close to Tundra and you settle the other cities not in the direction of Tundra, but in the direction of other player and grab all the land. That is really useful. The Grand Embassy is good if you are behind and someone snowballs ahead, but trade routes to other civilizations are also dangerous because that player just needs to declare war on you and you lose all your trade routes. And since the player is ahead in science, that's why you send him trade routes, he usually has better units and you will just steamroll you, so it doesn't help that much. And the Cossack is strong, but as an industrial area unit, it comes too late. So main reason to play Russia is really the Lavra, which is okay, and the terrain claim, which is really good. Then next we have rank 10. On rank 10 we have where is it? Here, Congo, Nzinga. Why is he here? This unique unit is really good. It replaces the swordsman. This means this comes early enough to kick in for important wars, while enemy cities do not have a super defense yet. And the plus 10 combat strength when defending against ranged attacks, that's really good. Especially players like to focus fire down your strong units with ranged attacks. And this guy just gets plus 10 strength. And if you upgrade the swordsman a bit more, you can get even more. So you have to melee swordsman, but that's not something you may like. Therefore, that makes him already quite strong. And his unique tile improvement, the district, which places the neighborhood but is available earlier, gives housing, food and gold. That's really nice. That's a good... I mean, the food and gold is not super important because you usually want to work food and production, but just to have more housing earlier on with a cheap tile can be very useful in economy. The stuff with the relics can kick in, but it's not so important. But that he gets the benefits from others' religion, that's actually also useful. People will found a religion and you do not have to care, you will just get one. That is actually useful. Then, on the next rank, we have Arabia. Here, Saladin. His unique unit is the Mamluk, which heals at every turn. Doesn't matter if you moved or attacked, it just heals a bit. That's useful, and it is a medieval unit that replaces the knight. Knight is not super early, but if you get to them, you can stomp people with them, because they are super strong, and when they come, you can win wars with them. And he has a unique knight, that's really good. And that he always gets a religion, he always gets the last prophet. In multiplayer, that's so good, because people will find the religion. Also on DT, the AI will get religions quite early, so you will not miss out even if you do not focus for that at all, which is really nice. Of course, you still need to build a religious district to get actually to found a religion, but that's still really nice. The other benefits, a little bit more science and faith, is good, but does not kick in all too big. Then we have on spot 8. Now we get to the quite strong civilizations. Cleopatra for Egypt. Production towards districts and wonders if placed next to a river. For districts, really good, because there are some districts that are anyway better on river. For wonders, it's okay, but you will not build too many wonders on rivers, but maybe 1 or 2, so that's nice. The trade routes, more food is always good, a bit more gold, but you will not usually send trade routes to other people. Maybe against the DTAI, maybe that can be useful if you really need the money, but otherwise you usually use them internal for production and food. But the archer, the chariot archer, is what makes Cleopatra strong, because it has usually 4 movement and it is a ranged unit, and that makes this chariot archer really good. A fast unit that is quite strong in shooting, not so strong in taking damage, but still, that's a really useful unit for early warfare, and it comes early enough. The Sphinx as a unique tile improvement is completely irrelevant. On DT you will not really be likely to found a religion unless you manage the Stonehenge maybe, but on DT difficulty to get the Stonehenge means you have to get it in the first 25 turns at standard speed, which is ridiculously fast. So therefore, the Sphinx that gives faith, not so important. And in multiplayer anyway not need to work tiles that give food and production. You won't have the time for something that gives just a little bit of faith. But the chariot archer, that is what makes Cleopatra strong. Then we have spot 7, where I actually placed 2 civilization, which I cannot really decide which one is better. We have Germany with Frederick Barbarossa, and we have Monty for the Aztecs. Well, Monty is obviously early on. Build the eagle warriors, which are stronger, and go to war. Just kill your neighbor as fast as possible and get as many workers out of that war as possible. DTAI will have a shitload of units to kill, so that will give you definitely a few workers. And a player will defend with all he has, so therefore will be also enough units. It may be a bit more difficult to bring your workers home against the player, but still, an early war can lead to you taking out another player, which means your empire doubles in size and you get free workers to improve the land immediately. That's really good. Also a little bit more happiness for your cities, which is nice. Therefore, early game with Monty can be extremely strong. And Frederick is a little bit different. What makes him strong is he can take out city-states. City-states usually have already some population and are well placed. And just more cities without having to build settlers and losing population while your cities focus on other things is really good. And after you have taken a city-state, you can just continue your warfare path and go on to a player, to an AI, and kill that person. And also the Hansa gives more production, which is quite nice, and you can make good use of that. That's why this guy is quite useful, and also that you can build this bit more districts in earlier. That's useful. His additional military policies is also quite useful. This means you can, for example, build horsemen if you have the horses. You can put the 100 production for ancient and classical horse units, and you can get also the plus 50% for ancient and classical melee and ranged units. Therefore, your horses will be built 150% faster. That is a huge ton of production, and you get that from the very fucking beginning. Well, as soon as you get the cards, but still, that's quite early and quite a lot of production boost. Together with the Hansa, you can really spam out units with this guy if you play it right. But he has no specific unique unit that is really relevant, so therefore place 7. Then we come to rank 6. Sumeria, Gilgamesh. His abilities are nearly not relevant. A little bit out of barbarian encampments, yeah, maybe you get 2 encampments. If you're lucky you get 3, if you're unlucky you get none. Therefore, it's okay, but not really that relevant. A little bit more gold early on is good to buy 1 or 2 tiles, but that's about it. What is really important is his war card. That's a damn strong and useful unit, and you can even fight spearmen with them. That's really powerful. For movement, it's really good. You can spam them out as early as possible, just rush down another player, or fight a DPAI with that. It's actually possible. Therefore, his war card is what makes him so strong. And the cigarette is useful if you want to speed a little bit faster through science, to maybe rush to another unit so you can upgrade your units to maybe knights or something. Because I think the war cards upgrade to knights. Therefore, he is really good for warfare. If you go to war early, and that's what you may want to do on higher difficulty, and that's what you probably have to do in multiplayer. Then we come to rank 5, right next to him, Gandhi for India. The main reason is his Baru, his elephant. That elephant replaces a horseman and has a strength, a base strength of 40. That's nearly on knight level, and it reduces the combat strength of all enemy adjacent units by 5, which you could say he's just 5 stronger if only Baru elephants fight, which means he has like 45 strength. And a knight, if I remember correctly, is 48. It comes much later because this unit replaces the horseman. You can spam these elephants out and they are so super strong. It's so hard to defend against elephants. They are insanely strong. The rest is what gives him place 5 and not higher up, because the rest is not so relevant. The stepwell is nice, a little bit food and housing, that is okay. The rest is all religion based and not so relevant. The Varu is that what makes it really strong. Then on place 4 and 3 we have Greece. We have Gorgo on place 3 and Pericles on place 4. Let's have a look at Gorgo. The only difference is the second ability. Here it is plus 50%, plus 5% culture per cities that you are sovereign of. That's not so relevant. And here it is culture if you kill units. That is actually relevant because you will fight a lot of wars on DT and maybe 2 in multiplayer. I mean, you don't have to necessarily in multiplayer, but you can force it. Also, 1 extra wildcard policy slot is even better than the one from Germany, because you can place a military card in there early on. Then later on, after a war has passed, maybe switch to an economy card or a great person card. Whatever, it is very useful. The culture for combat, like I said, is very useful. And the main reason why Greece is on rank 3 and 4 is the hoplite. It is a spearman that comes damn early, you can go quickly to that, and it gets plus 10 strength if it is next to another hoplite. You just build a ton of hoplite and roll over the enemy. What do they want to do if this early a unit comes that has plus 10 strength? Plus 10 means a lot early on. And the hoplite is already a stronger unit than the warrior. So you can combat these hoplites when people still have warriors. The best they can do against it is try to defend with a swordsman. Therefore Greece is really powerful. And Pericles is the same. The only difference is the 5% culture, which is clearly weaker than the 50% culture of defeated units. Then we come to rank 2. Well, there are only 2 civilizations left, so I guess you guess it. On rank 2 we have Rome. Rome is super powerful. If they conquer or build a city, they get a road. That's very useful, especially in war. You conquer a city and you get immediately a road, so your units, your backup units, Your reinforcement gets faster to that city. You can walk over the road to surpass rough terrain like hills and forests. That's really good. Also, its legion is one of the most powerful units in the game. It replaces the swordsman, and it is stronger than the swordsman. And it can build a fort. So if you have to defend, you build forts and fortify your swordsmen in there. Your legions. That's really strong. People will have a hard time to attack into that. Or you just push on with legions. Swordsman is already one of the strongest units of its age, and you have even a stronger version of that. That's super powerful. And that city center starts with an additional building is also actually quite nice. The aqueduct replacement on DT difficulty, it matters because you will need bigger cities and you will build aqueducts. Rome has just better aqueducts, which is nice. In multiplayer, it will kick in at some point, but it is not super relevant to other things. The legion and the roads is what makes him very strong. You have just to rush to legions and then stomp your neighbors. And then the glorious place 1 is Tomiris. 2 reasons for that, and it's not a Saka horse archer. It's 1, if a melee unit eliminates an enemy unit, they heal 50 hit points. Doesn't matter what age, doesn't matter what unit, as long as it's melee and takes out an enemy unit, it will heal by 50 hit points. This is a big issue. In single player, it means you can plan who you kill with your units. You can attack enemy units with your full health units, and when they are low, you go with the one that also has low health, take it out, and it will heal up. You don't have to pillage or retreat and heal all that often, because you can just kill units and heal that way. That is really good. And in multiplayer, usually when you take out an enemy unit, you have a damaged unit on your own on that spot. But this way, you will not have a damaged unit, because it will at least have 51 hit points. And that is a pain to fight against. So this is incredibly good. But the second one is light cavalry and Saka horse archer. If you build them, you get 2 instead of 1. You build 1 and you get 2. That is ridiculous. Because the horseman is very strong, comes quite early, and is a light cavalry unit. If you build 1, you get 2. That unit has a combat strength of, I think, 30. With that, you may even be able to fight legions. That's incredibly strong, and you get just 2 out of them for the price of 1, and they're not that expensive to build, especially if you get the plus 100% production to cavalry units from your military policy slot. So therefore you can just spam them out. If you ever have money problems, well, spam a few more out and delete them, they give money. That's just ridiculous, and that's actually the main reason why in some multiplayer games they have forbidden the players to delete units, because it was too broken. And the unit upkeep did not really matter, because you could just build a few units and then delete a few of them, and you have the money for a few turns of upkeep again. Units get so cheap. This is so strong. The Saka horse archer, against the AI, you can actually make use of it. Against players, it's a little bit difficult, because they have a range of 1, which means they have to get as close that the enemy can melee attack them back. And they only have a melee strength of 15. That's actually lower than a warrior. It's between a warrior and a scout. And you don't want the horse archer that has quite a good ranged combat strength to be in melee combat. Also, the plus 5% combat strength from attacking wounded units, you will focus fire all the time. If you see an enemy that is wounded, you will try to kill them. Therefore, all new units that attack that get plus 5 melee combat strength. She is clearly the strongest for multiplayer and against DTAI, just because of horsemen. They are so strong and come so early and can be exploited like mad. The only thing that is not relevant at all is Kurgan. 1 faith, 1 gold for the tile, both tile yields that you don't really work early on, and +1 faith in each pasture. Well, if you have like 3 or more pastures next to it, maybe you can use it to faith buy something if you have a good religion, but you have to get a religion. You'd rather just build horsemen and take out your enemies and adopt their religion. That's easier and much more efficient. Therefore, she takes spot 1, she will be the queen of multiplayer and DTAI warfare. Silver is going to Traian from Rome. With his legion and his roads, he will have a very steady warfare and can keep it up well, reinforced with a good speed. And bronze in 3rd place will be Gorgo for Greece, because her hoplites are strong, they come early, they fight united like real Spartans, and they get culture out of war how it has to be. Therefore, that was my list. If you disagree, please write a comment how stupid I am and how I don't know anything, I am Jon Snow, I know nothing, and this video is shit, so please write that down if you don't like it. If you have the same opinion or more similar, then do the opposite and blame the people that blame me. Or whatever, just go on with life, like I will do right now. See you in other videos.